peace, love, harmony, and light. This is Chief Kalanago with another video. I am actually doing this video live, but I decided to do it private because I just wanted to be in the moment, without the chat, the live chat, because I really wanted to be focused on the way I present this. Where do I even begin? The past few weeks, it has definitely been a learning tool. Well, I wouldn't say a tool, but it's been a learning experience. Um, man, wow. And what I was going through, I really couldn't comprehend it at first until you know it had to make sense to me. And I really had to come to a true understanding and understanding of what I was going through and what I had to go through. You see, what I went through was inevitable. What I went through was destined to happen, and there was nothing I could have done to prevent it. And when I say I'm not talking about Chief Kalanago, the physical man. I'm talking about the spirit man, that breath of the Most High that's in me. I had to go through this spiritual death. And I didn't realize it at first because I was focused too much on Chief Kalanago, the man, and not focusing on the spirit man, the real man, the I am, that's without a name. So I had kind of like go through this, let it make sense, and ask myself why. And again, not Chief Kalanago. So once again, please, those who have eyes, let them see, and those who have ears, let them hear. I am speaking in the spirit sense, and all this video is pretty much going to be about having that understanding of what I'm saying in the spirit, because the focus was placed on Chief Kalanago, the man, and it's okay and it's all right because it wasn't for anybody else to go through but my I am. My I am had to go through what I had to go through. In other words, to learn some valuable lessons. And did I learn those lessons? Yes, I learned them and I am practicing them and I'm going to continue to practice them. And that's very, very important to me. So please do not take this again in a physical sense, but truly adhere and listen to the message because maybe that may be a message that a lot of you may need or you have experienced what I've experienced and maybe didn't know how to understand it, how to comprehend it, how to articulate yourself. And that's why I had to make this video. Yes, it's live but private at the same time because I really want to get so that the message will come off, okay, in the way that it's supposed to come off. So what I went through for the past few weeks again was a spiritual attack. Spirit. It wasn't the physical man. It wasn't the Chief Kalanago. It wasn't the Kenrick that my mother named me. She said that her son will be known as. It wasn't that man. Okay, that man, the physical man, is just an avatar. That's what people see. That's what people judge. But my spirit, that was under attack. A lot of people didn't realize that. And a lot of y'all did. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And let us look at the etymology of the word spirit because you see, we as whether you call us teachers or whatever we do on YouTube and in social media, people look up to us. And we always tell people, look at etymology of words. But it's ironic that we only look at etymology of words when it only works in our favor. But let us be always real with ourselves. Let us look at the etymology of the word spirit. And for those of you who have ears, you will hear, and you have eyes, you will see. And I'm not talking about the physical, I am speaking about a spiritual thing right now. So let us look at that word spirit. Okay, give me 1 second. The etymology of the word spirit. Here it is. Spirit, noun, animating or vital principle in a man and animals. So therefore, animals have spirits as well. They have the same spirit that we have. From Anglo French, spirit or spirit, soul, and directly from Latin, spiritus, a breathing, respiration, and of the wind, breath, breath of God, hence inspiration, life. You see, that is the spirit, the breath of life. The spirit is the breath of life that's within that physical man, that came from the Most High, that came from the universal source, the universal creator. We are all particles of that breath, hence life. Also, disposition, character, high spirit, vigor, courage, pride, arrogance. So you see, the I am in us has pride and courage and arrogance. And a lot of people look at it as ego because sometimes they see just the physical man. You see, people see the Chief Kalanago, the physical man, but not realizing that the spirit man, the I am, is also a proud man. That's why it said that, God is a prideful and boastful God because that's the I am, the breath of life. It's arrogant. Now, this is not to make an excuse for anything. I am going somewhere with this. So, my focus here is not about the arrogance or the pride or the courage or the vigor. My focus here is the breath of life. That breath of life that's within the physical avatar that you see, that I say it's known as Chief Kalanago, an attempt was made for that life, that breath, to be taken away from my physical being. And that was the attack on the spirit, not on the physical man. You see, I kind of, I didn't get it. And so, man, Chief Kalanago felt a need to defend himself, not realizing that there was a higher in what was transpiring. But the ego of Chief Kalanago, the physical man, not realizing that, you see, he jumped forth before the I am. I'm going to defend the physical man because the physical man is under attack. So he got to defend it. And isn't that what nature is about? Look at every animal in nature. Look at the nature channel. The most minute or little animal will defend itself against an attack from any big or gigantic animal. That is just nature. However, Chief Kalanago, the physical man, got into that defensive mode. I had to defend myself instead of falling back and saying, you know what, this is a spiritual thing. So fall back and learn the lesson. And out of all this, I had to fall back and realize that Chief Kalanago cannot and should not be the master of the I am in me. You see, that's the message that I had to learn. And even if this is something that I have taught and I talk to people about, I kind of fell away from that message, away from that practice. And I had to learn. And the most fundamental things that I got from that was there is a higher power than my I am. You see, my I am is part of the total I am. You see, me as a spirit God, there is a so called God that's higher than the God that I am. You see, I am a God, but I am not God. You see, I hope that makes sense. Because with this spiritual awakening, if you call it that, whatever we choose to call it, or that higher consciousness of realization or awareness, we are going around saying that we are, and I'm guilty of that as well, that we are God. Well, I'm here to tell you today, my brothers and sisters, we are not God, or what they call God. We are not the Most High. Now, don't get me wrong. We are gods, but we are not God. There is a higher power, a higher source, a higher I am than the individual I am that exists in each of us. You see, it is just a particle, a breath, a piece of breath from the universal source I am. And collectively, we are God. But individually, we are not God, but we are gods. And that was one of the most humbling things that even if I knew it, I had to go through that spiritual attack, that spiritual death, so that I could humble my spirit self, and not humbling the self to mean meek or weak. That's not what it means, but to give honor and reference to the Most High, acknowledge the Most High, because you see, I kind of like abandon the Most High and start giving credit to just my ancestors, not realizing that my ancestors had creators as well. I came through my ancestors, but my ancestors they not my creator. My creator is the original source, the original I am, the collective, the universal source. That's my creators. And I kind of like abandoned that because I started giving credit only to my ancestors and thinking that I am God. And that's a lesson that I had to learn. So I had to show you the definition, the true meaning of what spirit is, that breath of life. And that breath of life could be taken in any second when we think that we are in total control. And man, that was a tough lesson to learn. So, with that being said, I had to learn that lesson. I had to go through that fire. You see, I went to the bottomless pit, not the physical man. No, you see, the physical Chief Kalanago was there as a host for the I am, the spirit in me to experience it. And my brothers and sisters, it hurt. Now, I have been betrayed by family, by blood relatives. Yes, I have. I've been disappointed. But let me tell you something. This, it was nothing compared to what I went through this past few weeks. The betrayal that I went through, the hurt, the pain. I literally cried like a baby for days. I had to travel out of town, which I'm still out of town, and 8 hours of traveling, close to 9 hours of traveling. I started to cry. I had to let it go. Not because Chief Kalanago, the physical man, like I thought, was attacked. No, it was because the physical, the spiritual, the I am in me was attacked. And not because of the attack I cried, but I cried because I finally got the lesson. The lesson that it was meant, that was meant for me to learn. I finally got it because in that moment silence, being alone in my tomb, I had to get it. And I started to cry. And I'll tell you another lesson that I think was the most important, well, one of the most important ones, apart from realizing that there is a higher power than the I am in me. and I have to give more honor and reference and thanks to that just my ancestors, because my ancestors came from that higher power, that most high. And I'm not talking about in the sense of religion. I'm not talking about in the sense of Christianity, Judaism, or Islam. I'm not talking about those that are Nas or Allah or Buddha or Zeus or what you call God. I am talking about the true essence of the Most High, the true essence of that universal creator from everything that all came. That's what I'm talking about. So this is not religion or a religious perspective. It is a truth and fact perspective. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the I am, the source that all the animals, you see, animals don't have a name for their creator. They just live life and know that the source that gave them life, they just live life. And that's what I'm talking about. But there is also duality within that source. You see, when the I am in us, get out of control, there is that duality, that lesson that must be learnt. And that comes also from that source, the I am, because you see, everything is within the I am. Everything is an extension of the I am. So let me tell you, and again, please do not think of it in the physical sense. Do not think of it in the physical sense. Now, this is all spiritual here. So let us look at this etymology of this word dark. You see, the darkness can is an energy. Darkness, demons, they are all energies and they look for a host. And a lot of us allow darkness and demons to be hosted in our avatars, in our temple. And sometimes we are aware of it, and sometimes we are not. And sometimes it's and sometimes it's a permanent thing. But sometimes we allow those dark energies and those demons to use us temporarily to fulfill their temporary goal or their mission. And we sometimes, the physical us, we don't realize that. But you see, the spiritual us agrees to that, because a demon or a negative energy or a dark energy cannot come into your avatar without you inviting it, whether it may be willingly or unknowingly. A vampire cannot come into your home unless you invite it. They will not come through the window. They have to come through the front door. They have to knock, and you have to answer, and you have to let them in or choose not to let them in. So you see, when that dark energy comes, it asks for your permission, and you give it permission. And the etymology of dark, it says gloomy, sad, cheerless, sinister, and wicked. It also said to hide, to conceal, absence of light, to hide, to conceal, absence of light. And it is to say, and once more, please, my wish is that we don't look at this in a physical understanding of things. I want you to really understand what not Chief Kalanago, the physical man, but the I am that's known as Chief Kalanago went through. And that sinister energy, that concealed energy, that dark energy, okay, that refused to reveal itself, it had to attack. And I had to go through that in order for me to go to the next level. And when I say me, I'm talking about that spiritual growth, the I am in me. For the I am in me to go to that next level, I had to go through my own crucifixion. I have been crucified before, but it was nothing like this. It was nothing like that spear had went through my side and my last breath was taken. Brothers and sisters, my last breath was taken. I had a spiritual death. And an elder called me and said that, Chief, a demon came to attack you, but you were too strong. So they had to send another demon, and you were still too strong. And I'm talking about not Chief Kalinago, the physical man, because she said she see my spirit. I am talking about the I am, that breath of the Most High that's in me. It was too strong. So therefore, that energy, that dark energy, had to reach out to others in the world of the web, social media, a wide web of energy, people, dark, sinister energies. And they came, and that's how they were able to kill my spirit. That's how they were able to take that breath of life away from me. And brothers and sisters, I'm going to keep it real with you. It's not, you see, Chief Kalinago, the physical man, wanted to give up, but he kept fighting. But the truth of the matter is, the spiritual man died. It gave up. It did give up. I died. But then I was resurrected again. Because I resurrected because I had to learn that lesson. And like I told you before, the most profound lesson I learned was that I am not the Most High. I am not what you call God. Yes, I am a God, but I am not God. I am a child of the Most High. And that's what I had to, that was the most profound lesson that I had to learn. You see, and that's where that real ego stepped in that spiritual ego. It was too prevalent. It was too prevalent in the sense that it it thought that there was nothing higher than it. You know, it's like dogs, right? If you have dogs, and if you have a dog, so to speak, a mother and a father, a male and a female dog, and they have children, of course, the children are dogs as well. But do you say that the children is dog? No, the children is not dog because they came from the first two dogs. And a lot of us go around this new awakening, with this new so called consciousness, this enlightenment, this higher frequency. A lot of us go around, I'm guilty of that as well. A lot of us go around thinking that we are God, that we don't have to, honor anything higher than us. I have said it before in the past, and I got consumed with that type of ego. I did. And again, of course, all that came from the outside stimuli, the outside teaching, the outside influence, listening to people, videos, and people talking to me, reading books. But sometimes we have to get away from the books and we have to get away from other people's perceptions. We have to get away from that and sometimes and go within us, within the real man, connect back to that source, that most high, and ask, show me, teach me. I am lost. I am confused. I am knocking. Please open up and show me the way. And that's what I had to do. But before I had to be shown the way, or before I had to see the way, I had to go through that spiritual death. And it was painful. Man, I tell you, I cannot describe this. I really can't. Honestly, I can't to tell you what a spiritual death feels like. But I know that that breath that was within Chief Kalanago, the physical man, was gone. So therefore, another lesson that I had to learn in the midst of my travel while I was crying, like I said, a grown man crying like a baby. You see, I had to go back to being a child, that innocent child again. And you know when a child is hurt and you hurt a child and you say, I'm sorry. And the child said, it's okay. It's okay. I forgive you. I had to go back to that place. Because you see, when Chief Kalanago, the physical man, got attacked, I was mad. And I came and I made an attempt to defend Chief Kalanago, the physical man, not realizing that it was deeper than that, not realizing that that lesson was for me to learn, that I am in me to learn. And I came and I said, yes, you know what? I forgive. I asked for forgiveness. The lesson. That wasn't the lesson I had to learn. The lesson I had to learn was that true, that true sense of forgiveness spiritually. You see, that I am in me had to learn to forgive. I forgave in the midst of crying. I'm talking about literally shedding tears, and the rain started to fall. Man, it was so real. And the rain came so hard where I was on the road traveling, and it was almost zero visibility. That's how heavy the rain was. And the heavier my tears became, the heavier the rain became. And I felt that cleansing. I felt that water baptism. It was internal. And I forgave the man that allowed that, or the man, or the people, and everybody who played a part in my spiritual death. I forgave them because I knew that they knew not what they were doing. And it I mean, brothers and sisters, I don't know if you really comprehend where I'm going with this. Learn. And the more I said yes, I forgive them, the more I cried, and the more my spirit started to be uplifted, the more I came back to life, the more I started to feel like myself again. Not Chief Kalanago, the physical man, because Chief Kalanago, the physical man, was there, but I was dead spiritually. I lost myself. I was gone. The I am in me was gone. So I forgave. I did. I really forgave. And I forgive you, brother. I forgive you, brothers, okay, that allowed that dark energy to come within. But I also thank you for allowing that dark energy to come, and you hosted it to attack my spiritual I am. I thank you for that as well, because if it wasn't from you, for you allowing that spirit, that negative energy, that darkness to prevail, I wouldn't have learned that lesson. And that is the lesson that I learned. In every experience, there is a lesson that needs to be learned. And I am so thankful for you, because it is not easy to allow dark energy and dark, you know, um, demons to enter into your avatar, even if it's just temporarily, to attack so that that spirit could learn a lesson. And man, I thank you for that as well, because I know it must have been painful as well. I know that. So I am thankful to you for that. Thank you. But I also forgive your spirit. I forgive your spirit for allowing that darkness to come so that it could hurt my spirit. And that is the second profound lesson that I had to learn, the true meaning of forgiveness. And if I didn't learn that, then I wouldn't have come out of it the way that I did. So I'm saying all that to say, my brothers and sisters, we are living in times of where we were told that we are fighting spiritual powers, principalities and powers, and that is true. Not because it's the last days that the world is going to end. No, the last days where we have to give up our carnal ways. We have to give up the hatred that we have in us towards each other. We have to give up those destructive ways and attitudes and ideologies that we have towards each other. And we have to truly forgive, not in the flesh, but in the spirit. And you have to die spiritually. And each and every one of us have to go through that crucifixion. And I thought I had went through it. I did at some point in my life, but it wasn't the ultimate death. You see, that spear hadn't gone through. My last breath wasn't taken away. But I'm telling you, Yes, a few weeks ago, it did. It did. And I had to connect back to the Most High. I had to, because I stopped giving credit to the Most High. And it was always about me and my ancestors, not realizing that my ancestors came from the Most High. So I bypassed, or I forgot, the Most High, the source from whence all came, and started giving credit to only my ancestors, thinking that they are the ones. No, they were just portals that that my I am came through. But I forgot that my I am is part of a bigger I am, that universal I am. And I had to ask that universal I am, which I'm asking right now again, to forgive me. Forgive me for my shortcomings. Forgive me for my failure. Forgive me because I had forsaken my Most High. I had forsaken the Creator. And I'm not talking about religion perspective on things. I'm talking about the nature of the Most High, that truth. Forget all the names that people call the Most High. The Most High said, I shall be known as I am forever. I'm talking about that universal I am, that my I am to come here to experience things so that I could take it back to that I am. So I asked for forgiveness and I was forgiven. You see, that's what I had to learn. I had to ask for true full forgiveness within the spirit. My I am had to ask the universal I am for forgiveness. And when I was forgiven, I had to learn the true essence of what it meant to forgive because I was forgiven. And that is the lesson that I learned in all this. Now, this may or may not go over a lot of people's heads. A lot of people may dislike it, but it's okay because I am not here to do it for the likes, or I am not here to appease the physical man. My journey and my purpose is to uplift fallen humanity. And that attempt to assassinate not Chief Kalanago, the physical man, because that's what everybody came after, not realizing that it was an attack on my spirit, the I am in me. Yes, it took me down. And literally, I'm telling you, after 3 days, my spirit was uplifted. And I just want to say thank you to my elders who called me and said, Son, I see your spirit. I know that you are true. I know what you're going through. My spirit feels your pain. And because of them, I thank you, and they know who I'm talking about. And even my peers, one, particular, spirit in essence, she was always there. And she stood by my side. And I want to, even when I thought she didn't have my back, you see, that was Chief Kalanago, the physical man speaking, not the spiritual I am. It was that spiritual ego, it was that, not, pardon me, not that spiritual ego. You see, there's nothing wrong with the spiritual ego. It is the physical ego that's the issue. So that physical ego, the physical Chief Kalanago, thought that she didn't have my back when she did have the I am in me. She had my back. And I want to ask, well, I did ask her to forgive me for that because she did have that. She did have my spiritual back, the I am in me, and thank her. And I thank a few brothers as well for reaching out and say, Chief, man, I see your spirit, I see your soul. And they stood by my side, and that helped me get through. And for all those of you in the web that's caught up in the web, the social medias, the YouTubes, the Instagrams, the the Facebooks, who reached out to me, whether it may have been through a comment or an email or a text, and said, Chief, I see your spirit, I see your soul, stay strong. Thank you for that. And for those of you who came and attacked the physical man because you didn't realize it was a spiritual attack, you yourself allowed that dark energy to consume you, that was part of your journey as well. And I thank you for allowing that demon, that darkness, to host your physical avatar to bring that spiritual attack. I thank you for that. Because if it wasn't for you as well, because like I said, one couldn't take my spirit down, two of them couldn't take my spirit down. It had to be a host of them, and they did take it down. So thank you for that as well, because of you, I had to learn this profound lesson. So I forgive you as well. I am not mad. My spirit, my soul, forgive your soul. And I was forgiven. My spirit and my soul, my I am was forgiven. And I learned what it truly meant to be forgiven. So therefore, because of that, I know what it means to truly forgive. And with that being said, AAPN wasn't hurt. Yes, a few people walked away, but it's okay because a lot of us didn't realize the true essence of what happened because we are still moving in the flesh. We are still seeing things through the eyes of the physical man and not the spirit. But we all will learn that lesson eventually. So AAP and our nation is still alive and standing strong because, like I said before, it was ordained by the ancestors, it was ordained by the Most High. AAPN will continue to rise. And thank you to all the nation members who stood by AAPN's side, who stood by my side as well. Thank you. So, this is the conclusion of this video. I feel great. My spirit is uplifted. I am still recuperating. I am still processing that lesson, still finding ways to implement it, apply it into my life. And man, it was real. I literally went there. Okay. I lost myself. That spiritual death was real, but I was resurrected. And I just want to give thanks to the Most High and forgive me for abandoning you, thinking that I am God, when in actuality, I am just a God. I had to realize that. I am one of the I ams that from the universal I am. So, with that being said, I hope you guys really hear this and really see what this video was meant to be. I, Chief Kalanago, the physical man, I have learned my lesson as well. And the lesson that Chief Kalanago, the physical man, have learned, I will keep that to myself because I have to assess things and I have to experience it. So I am still learning that. However, the spiritual I am is the most important thing because Chief Kalanago, the physical man, became the master of the spiritual I am. And that was why I had to go through what I had to go through. The ego of Chief Kalanago, the physical man, okay, was taking control over the ego of the I am. And the ego of the I am don't like that. It is a very boastful and prideful I am. And it had to show me a lesson. And the lesson was learned. So my spiritual I am will always be in control of the physical Chief Kalanago man. And that's what I had to learn. Peace, love, and light.